All right, good morning to and welcome to Iyun Benzion, Yevamos Daf Chav number 27. We have a machlokes on Chav Zayin Amud Beis over here. Machlokes between Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. Rav and Rabbi Yochanan machlokes like this. Uh, the case where, let's say, there's three brothers. Two of them, two older brothers, are married to two sisters, and then they die. They obviously don't die at the same time. First of all, the older brother, let's say, dies, and then the second brother dies. So now the third brother, call him Levi, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Levi has two sisters in front of him, right? And two sisters creates, as we know, if they're a hold of Zika, which we do hold Allah, we hold of Zika, creates an Isra Achos Zikukoso. Achos Zikukoso means that he has a Zika, he has a connection, he has a bond to two sisters. And a bond is almost like marriage. And we know you can't be married to two sisters, it's already getting married. So, Midrabanan, you can't have a Zika to two sisters. You have to dissolve that. You can't do Yevamos. So you can't do Iyun. You can't take one of the sisters. You can't finalize it because it's like marrying. You're already married to the other sister. So when you take another sister, you have Bia with the other sister. It's like you're engaging in Bia relations with one of a sister that you're a sister of someone you're married to. So it's a problem in the Rabbanan. So therefore you have to do Chalitza. That's what the Mishnah says. We have an interesting machlokes over here between Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. Chav Zayin Amud Beis. Rav says that if there's only one Yavam, right? There's only Levi. Chalatz Rishona Hutra, Chalatz L'Shniya, about 6-7 lines down. Chalatz Rishona Hutra, Chalatz L'Shniya Hutra. Meitha Rishona Mutter B'Shniya. Meitha Rishona Meitha Shniya Shemutter B'Rishona. Shdahavi Yomach Hutra V'Nesha V'Chazar V'Hutra Tachzer L'Teira Harishon. He says that if this third brother, right, he didn't do chalitza. If you do chalitza to one of the sisters, so then you can't, even everyone would agree, you can't marry the other sister because there's an isra achos chalutza. So not only achos zikukoso, but even do chalitza to one of the sisters, and you remove the zika from her. So maybe I should marry the second sister. It's no longer zika. It's no longer achos zikukoso. You can't because this is the rabbanan achos chalutza. So you're cholates the sister. So therefore you can't marry the second sister. But what if she dies? What if one of the sisters dies? So Rav says it doesn't matter who dies. If Reuven's wife who fell first dies, or Shimon's wife fell first, or fell after, whether Shimon's wife died first or Reuven's wife died first, you're left with only one sister. It's Paka the Zika, there's only one sister. You can do Yibam, Rav says. Rabbi Yochanan says only in one case. It depends what happened. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Mesa Shniya Mutar B'Rishona. If, right, let's say Reuven's wife falls first, Reuven dies, and his wife falls to Levi first for Yibam. Now Levi didn't do anything yet. So she was technically mutter to Levi because the other woman was still married to Shimon, and there was no Zika, so he only had a Zika to one sister. And one sister has no problem to marry one sister. Then he didn't do anything, and Shimon died. So now it fell to him, Achos Zikakosto. So now it created an Isra. Originally it was a heter. Shas Nafil, when Reuven died, there was a heter. He could marry her. He could marry Leah, let's say, who was the first wife. And Rachel, when Rachel husband died, and Rachel fell to Yibam, so then created an Isser of Achos Kasa. Then Leah, the first sister, became Aser. And then what happens is Rabbi Yochanan says that if Rachel were to die, so then Leah becomes the only sister remaining, and she's Chazal Teira Rishon. She goes back to her original heter. You can do Yibam with her. Yochanan is in that case, but he's arguing in a case where the opposite happens, where the one who dies is not Rachel, but Leah dies. Leah is the first sister who falls, and she dies. The reason being, or Yochanan says, like the Gemara explains, so call Yevamos she was never mutter to him. When she fell first to Levi, there was another sister over there, so it was Achos Zukaso. So therefore, she never had a heter. Leah had a heter, then she became Aser, then she became mutter. But here is Aser and became mutter. Once she Shas Nafila, she was Aser, she remains Aser forever. Now, I am explaining this Masechta that there's no chiluk over here when your brother, there's an Isra Eishasach, you can't marry your brother's wife. It's not the pshat that when your brother is married to a wife and he has no children, and he's your paternal brother, and he's not married to an islandist, and all the conditions are fulfilled, so that's considered mutter. That's like hutra. And when he does have children, it becomes an Isra Eishasach. I want to explain, no, there's always an Isra Eishasach, even in the case where he has no children, The word is the mitzvah of Yibum, even though normally Ein Esadocha L'Shishba Karis and Eish Zachas Karis, but therefore Chazal consider the mitzvah of Yibum so important that it's docha. We push it away. Eitza Tova Kamashmal, even though you're violating Isra Karis, the Torah said it's more important to Mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum, even though you violate Isra Karis, but only when he has no children. If he has children, it's not valuable enough because you're not creating another child in remembrance for your brother. So, so over here I'd explain like this: that what's machlokas Rav and Rabbi Yochanan? I would say like this: that Rav and Rabbi Yochanan have a machlokas by the nature of achos ukukasa, right? What is achos ukukasa? We know it's derabanan over here. The Gemara says it's derabanan. Now, you're right. Technically, there's for the second wife Rachel, she never had a shas heter. She never had kol Yevamos she'ani korba b'shas tefillah Yevamos yaval. Arei zuk yishach sheish alabanim. She never had a shas heter. She never had a shas heter. So what does that mean? Deraisa she got a shas heter. Derabanan achos ukukasa only derabanan. Really, they're not married to him. Zika doesn't create marriage. So I want to say that a zika, like we explained before, that there's two mitzvahs over here. There's a mitzvah of yibum. There's a mitzvah of nisuin over here. In every case of Yibam, that's Yevamo Yavo Aleh, Haisal al Isha. Haisal al Isha is Nisuin. Even though Zika might be Kiknusa or Lav Kiknusa, maybe Zika is Kiknusa. Zika means already like you're married. It doesn't mean you're married like a Nisuin. It marries that the Kinyan Yibam happened already. So that's what I would explain the Machlokas over here. That even though Zika creates a Kinyan Yibam, the question is when you have a Zika to two sisters, it's like almost Rabbi Yochanan holds like you have no Zika. It removes the Zika. If it removes the Zika, Rabbi Yochanan holds, if it removes the Zika, so therefore, once you have achos zikukoso, so therefore, it dissolves the Zika. It dissolves achos zikukoso because you can't be married to either of them. It dissolves the Zika, even though it normally holds Zika. Achos zikukoso creates a situation of like there's no kinyan yibum already. There's no kinyan yibum already, so therefore it dissolves the kinyan yibum. The mitzvah of yibum is totally in the kinyan of yibum, and there's no kinyan. There's no mitzvah of yibum. When there was a heter rishon, when it's Leah and Rachel dies, the second wife dies, so there was a heter already. So therefore, it created once Leah fell to yibum when Rachel wasn't there yet. It already created the kinyan yibum. The zika created the kinyan yibum, and therefore, even though it became asur afterwards, the zika still remains. The kinyan yibum was still there. So the mitzvah of yibum. But what happened the other way, so there's never a zika created, there's never a kinyan yibum, and therefore you don't have a mitzvah of yibum. But Rav says no. Rav says even by Rachel, even though she fell b'shas iser, since it's only the rabbanon, so therefore achos ukukasa was not strong enough to remove the kinyan yibum, even though it would even be a kinyan yibum for Rachel when she falls. Achos ukukasa means there's an iser erva midrabbanon, but it creates a kinyan and it's still be a mitzvah of yibum even afterwards. And therefore, even if Leah were to die, Rachel, it was already a mitzvah, a kinyan yibum, so there's a mitzvah of yibum for her also to do yibum, and that's why she would be mutter, and it wouldn't be Israel or Eishasach. It would be Israel or Eishasach, but it's considered a mitzvah. The question is whether you have a mitzvah of yibum, you have a mitzvah of yibum, because I felt it's imperative, it's important, mitzvah of yibum, it overrides Israel of Karis. Bye. Yeah.